headline after headline, and this morning we're hearing about Meghan Markle, who reportedly was complaining about not being paid while on tour here in Australia back in 2018.
Royals like Australia, Harry and Meghan. Meghan in particular, she spoke about how this tour changed everything. Why?
Well, it changed everything for good and bad. It changed everything, in Harry's words, because the
Meghan said that their 2018 visit changed everything. Did Australia break them?
No, I don't think.
From celebrated Duchess to being quietly sidelined, Meghan Markle now finds herself barred from Australia, sidelined across parts of the Commonwealth, and clinging only to her fading celebrity. Back in 2018, the press was glowing. Front pages shouted of her triumph, and large crowds reportedly gathered wherever she and Harry appeared. Photographers captured every wave and smile, and social media churned with admiration. The official narrative was simple. The Duchess of Sussex had arrived, enchanting hearts just like a fairy tale heroine. Yet, as veteran journalist Valentine Lowe, who first revealed allegations of Meghan's bullying behavior, pointed out, the glitter didn't match reality. Behind the images of cheering fans, a harsher truth existed. Australia, the nation Meghan believed would embrace her as warmly as Princess Diana, had already made a quiet decision. She was not welcome. The way royal visits work underscores this. Unlike casual celebrity appearances, every engagement is vetted, approved by Buckingham Palace, and aligned with government protocol. And in Meghan's case, those doors were firmly shut. King Charles has long stated that if Australians one day choose to become a republic, he would respect that choice. He has emphasized that the monarchy is not about extracting wealth from nations, but about representing tradition. Against this backdrop, palace officials quietly restricted Harry and Meghan's participation abroad. According to research by biographer Tom Bower, the British government itself discouraged the couple from acting as global representatives. Instead, they were branded rogue royals, a dangerous precedent in a centuries-old institution built on hierarchy and caution. Meghan struggled to accept this. Accounts suggest she failed to grasp the rigid structures of monarchy, appearing unable to reconcile her vision of celebrity freedom with key boundaries of royal duty. This is the lesson. Marrying into royalty is not simply about glamour or influence. It comes with strict rules powerful enough to bar one from entire nations. Every country in the Commonwealth takes cues from London. Extending an invitation to the Sussexes risks political tension. Declining their involvement maintains royal stability. Meghan, it is said, never fully adjusted to this. Reports claim she believed she ought to be paid for public walkabouts, seeing them as performances worthy of compensation. This mindset clashed with the traditional expectation that such appearances are service, not commerce. Each public misstep, each unsuccessful post-royal project, each headline of failure only compounded the distance between her and the role she once imagined. Australia didn't need to openly reject her. They simply withheld invitations. No official events, no red carpets, no government receptions. Silence itself became the sharpest message. Meghan's assumption that her Hollywood fame and royal title alone would secure influence proved misplaced. What mattered was legitimacy, and without it, she appeared more like a celebrity chasing visibility than a stateswoman with authority. Harry and Meghan's position worsened after the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who had been Harry's strongest advocate within the family. Now, palace officials adopt a far stricter stance. Each ignored request, each blocked appearance, each unspoken exclusion chips away at the couple's global access. The image of Meghan as a beloved duchess shrinks, replaced by that of a public figure losing relevance. For Meghan, who has long been fascinated with image and influence, this is particularly painful. She once believed her charisma could win nations. Instead, she finds doors closing, often without explanation. What makes it more cutting is that Australia harboring hostility simply shows no interest. Indifference, in many ways, is harsher than anger. Bower's reporting adds another layer. Harry and Meghan cannot freely travel without financial backing. Royal tours are expensive. Airfare, accommodation, security, staff. Traditionally, governments or sponsors shoulder these costs. But without invitations, the Sussexes would need to fund such trips themselves, and according to these accounts, they have not done so. This creates an image problem. A couple once associated with extravagance, living in a multi-million-dollar Montecito estate, wearing luxury jewelry, walking red carpets, now reportedly cannot manage their own tours. This financial angle compounds the perception of decline. Once, Meghan dazzled in designer gowns and fine watches, presenting herself as a figure of global sophistication. Today, claims suggest she cannot secure an official-style visit without external funding. Politically blocked and financially constrained, her reach is shrinking on both fronts. The irony is sharp. Australia had once seemed like the stage for Meghan's triumph. During her 2018 visit, she was radiant, pregnant with Archie, embraced by headlines as the fresh face of modern royalty. Yet beneath the applause, the stage was slipping. The palace already recognized the risks of her approach, and governments quietly took note. In the years since, her reputation has shifted dramatically. What was once framed as promise and possibility is now portrayed as failure and exclusion. For Meghan, who believed in the power of personal narrative, this is the cruelest twist. Influence isn't determined by glamour alone. It relies on legitimacy, authority, and acceptance, and in these, she has found herself lacking. Tom Bower's research presents a relentless picture. The Sussexes' challenges are not just financial or political, but reputational. Meghan's standing is no longer tied to admiration, but to skepticism. Australia's silence was strategic. No fanfare, no hostility, just an absence of welcome. That subtle exclusion is more devastating than a headline scandal. For Meghan, this feels especially cruel. She assumed her celebrity would carry enough weight, her fame, her media influence, her royal title. But Australia wasn't rejecting her because of personal dislike. The rejection was structural. Without an official role, she lacked authority, and without authority, her appearances risked confusion. To governments, she was no longer a duchess with influence, but a private figure trading on her past. This becomes even more pointed when considering Harry. Once, he was a favored grandson of the late Queen, protected and championed. Now, with her gone, his support within the institution is weaker, the palace is less forgiving, and the rules are enforced more firmly. Each denied invitation, each unacknowledged tour request shows that the Commonwealth has taken its cues from London. The symbolism is stark. Every Commonwealth nation faces a choice. Invite Harry and Meghan and face potential complications, or decline and preserve tradition. Again and again, governments have chosen silence. For Meghan, this silence speaks louder than any speech could. Even her perception of royal duty seemed misaligned. Reports state she viewed public events as labor-deserving pay. Yet royal engagements are about service and representation, not commercial reward. This miscalculation reinforced the idea that she never fully comprehended the monarchy's purpose. The result? Increasing friction, widening gaps, and mounting alienation. None of this has gone unnoticed by observers. In the post-royal years, Meghan and Harry's projects, Netflix shows, podcasts, Archewell initiatives, were meant to build independence. Instead, they've been met with lukewarm reception. The streaming deal, once hailed as a massive opportunity, struggled with as criticism and weak audience engagement. Far from being a financial lifeline, it's been labeled a disappointment. The same goes for Meghan's podcast. Marketed as groundbreaking, it drew only moderate interest. Critics dismissed it as unfocused, repetitive, and uninspiring. Instead of positioning Meghan as a thought leader, it underscored suspicions that celebrity alone couldn't sustain long-term influence. The Archewell Foundation, too, faced scrutiny. Though presented as philanthropic, insiders note that its measurable impact has been limited. Headlines often highlight Meghan's personal style, luxury living, or PR strategies, rather than concrete achievements. The perception, fair or not, is that Archewell serves more as a branding tool than as a force for social change. Meanwhile, their lifestyle remains extravagant. Montecito mansion, private jets, designer wardrobes, luxury events all carry heavy costs. For a couple striving to position themselves as independent, the optics are awkward. Reports of financial shortfalls clash with their display of wealth. It creates a disconnect, living as if they're A-list royalty while projects underperform. Australia and the wider Commonwealth watch this contrast closely. Public opinion values authenticity and substance. Meghan's image, carefully curated glamour, charismatic smiles, expensive appearances, once seemed refreshing. But repeated contradictions eroded that image. Complaints about privacy alongside constant media projects, criticism of wealth inequality while showcasing opulence, these mismatches reinforced skepticism. The most biting part of Bauer's account is that Meghan's public decline is visible. Every news outlet, every royal analyst, every blog highlights the contrast between her promises and her results. She once looked poised to lead a modern royal future. Now she is described as a cautionary tale, a celebrity who overestimated her influence. Australia specifically has turned away without drama. No need for statement. As no press releases, just no invitations, no appearances, no recognition. And that indifference is more punishing than outrage. This erosion of influence has also been financial. Meghan and Harry's ventures have not lived up to expectations. The Netflix deal, meant to secure financial independence, became a source of critique. The podcast, another supposed milestone, fizzled, and Archewell, while publicized, lacks the scale of other global charities. Together, these efforts reveal a troubling reality. Their income streams are not keeping pace with their lifestyle. This was further underscored by a controversial appearance at a California beach gathering, reportedly attended in $300,000 worth of jewelry. What might have been a light social event instead fueled criticism. For commentators, it symbolized desperation, an attempt to project relevance through spectacle. The overdressing, the context, the contrast, it all suggested a duchess chasing attention rather than commanding it. This incident wasn't isolated. Meghan's growing association with Hollywood circles, including a high-profile event connected to actor Kevin Costner, carried the same optics. Rather than reinforcing influence, it appeared forced, a bid for relevance that backfired. Once her appearances felt deliberate, carefully planned. Now, critics argue, they seem reactive, a scramble to maintain visibility. In Australia, where authenticity and understatement are valued, such displays are jarring. The lavish jewelry, the overdressing, the pursuit of elite associations, these come across as overcompensation. The very qualities that once drew admiration now invite ridicule. The bigger picture is financial vulnerability. Once flush with royal resources, Meghan and Harry now rely on deals, sponsorships, and media projects. When these underperform, their lavish lifestyle becomes harder to defend. For a duchess who built her reputation on glamour and poise, this decline in financial clout is a harsh blow. The conclusion is unavoidable. Meghan's influence, financially and politically, is shrinking. Australia, as a case study, shows how quickly admiration can turn to indifference. Where crowds once cheered, now there is silence. Where headlines once praised, now there is critique. The Duchess, once hailed as a future icon, now faces closed doors and fading relevance. The core of Tom Bauer's account is that Meghan Markle's difficulties are not random misfortunes, but the result of repeated misjudgments. Each commercial project, each public statement, each staged appearance has carried contradictions that eroded trust. For someone whose entire post-royal standing depends on perception, this has been catastrophic. The Sussex brand was intended to be bold, modern, independent, globally relevant. In practice, it became fragile. Without the framework of official royal duties, there was no anchor. Public life requires more than charm. It requires credibility, structure, and results. Meghan and Harry, by stepping outside the monarchy, forfeited that base of authority. Australia demonstrates the consequence. In 2018, Meghan was praised as stylish, engaging, even transformative. The visit was celebrated as a watershed moment, but admiration didn't translate into lasting influence. Soon after, claims of mistreatment of staff and her struggles with royal expectations surfaced. The headlines turned, the applause stopped, and what remained was skepticism. For Australians, the contrast was especially sharp. The monarchy, for all its flaws, is expected to provide continuity and service. Meghan appeared to seek celebrity recognition instead. Instead of being remembered as a duchess who brought substance to causes, she is increasingly framed as a public figure chasing status. The polls reinforce this. Surveys now show Meghan and Harry among the least favored royals in Australia. That's not merely opinion, it's a cultural verdict. Australians expected depth and consistency. Instead, they saw spectacle, grievance, and constant media pursuit. Against a backdrop of tradition, these qualities rang hollow. Meanwhile, William and Catherine's appearances highlight the contrast. Their visits are coordinated, respectful, and culturally sensitive. Meghan and Harry's 2018 tour, in hindsight, appears more like a media-driven spectacle than a statesman-like visit. Australians noticed, and they did not forget. The political dimension matters too. After the couple's unauthorized visit to Nigeria raised questions about whether they were representing Britain or themselves, Commonwealth governments took note. Invitations became risks. To prevent confusion, the palace and governments tightened control. Meghan and Harry's semi-royal tours became liabilities, not assets. Australia responded with silence, a quiet blockade that left no room for misinterpretation. And the cruel irony? Meghan, who once imagined herself influencing global narratives, is now a case study in how influence collapses. Every Netflix disappointment, every faltering project, every public misstep has reinforced her decline. Instead of inspiring admiration, she now provokes indifference, even scorn. Financially, this is equally devastating. Maintaining a multi-million-dollar lifestyle requires consistent revenue. But the Sussexes' ventures have fallen short. Netflix struggled, podcasts underperformed, Archewell failed to make a major philanthropic mark. The lifestyle of Montecito luxury stands in stark contrast to these realities, creating optics that critics seize upon. The infamous California beach party illustrated this perfectly. Dressed in costly jewelry at a casual gathering, Meghan projected extravagance without context. For observers, it symbolized desperation, an attempt to project power when real influence was waning. For Australians, such displays confirm the view that she is out of touch. It isn't just about money, though. It's about relevance. Wealth alone does not guarantee respect. Without substance, wealth can even highlight fragility. Meghan's lavish displays now often read as attempts to mask a shrinking sphere of influence. The broader verdict across the Commonwealth is consistent. Meghan Markle is no longer a figure of significance. She is viewed less as a duchess shaping the future and more as a celebrity clinging to past glories. Silence from governments, absence of invitations, and cooling public sentiment all reinforce this reality. The most punishing part is that this verdict is subtle. There are no dramatic headlines, no official bans, no explosive scandals, just silence. No invitations extended, no tours arranged, no stages offered. For someone who built a career on visibility, being ignored is the harshest rejection. Bauer frames it as finality, not setback. Meghan's global ambitions, shaping discourse, influencing nations, building an empire of relevance, have collapsed. What remains is an image without weight. Her fairy tale was brief, and it ended not with drama but with quiet exclusion. For Meghan Markle, this is more than professional failure. It is a personal reckoning. She crafted a life built on presentation and perception. But perception cannot override protocol, tradition, or public trust. The Commonwealth has spoken, not through speeches, but through silence. And in that silence, her irrelevance is sealed. The Duchess who once believed she could conquer nations is now faced with the sobering reality. Doors once open are firmly shut, and the applause has faded to nothing.